Welcome, everybody, back to the Darkest Fears podcast. And today we are going to finally get this episode done on Imprint. Today, joined by Mike as always, and then today we got a real special guest with us, with our buddy Sean, who's going to be joining us and talking about this whacked out, fucking crazy ass movie. This one had me squirming on a few bits in this movie for sure, because like Mike knows, I have a thing about fucking teeth, and
I'll be honest, I forgot about that part.
Because I was sitting there watching it with you, and I was like, oh my God. I was like, no.
As I've gotten older, there's a few things that really just get under my fucking skin. So I try not to I will try to preface something like that, but that one totally slipped my mind because, as I said the first time I saw it, Sean was just sitting next to me like, smoke more. Smoke more. This part's gonna get crazy. Smoke more. So, it was like anytime I watch it now, even like not smoking, I'm just like, God, this brings back memories of just like how anxious I felt and fucking how wild it was, and how jam packed in one fucking hour. It's just balls to the wall.
Oh, for sure.
I describe it to anybody that it has everything. They're like, what's it about? It's like, it has any bad subject, pick it. It has it.
Yeah. And that's what I told Ben. I was like, you're going to have crazy torture. You're going to have like awesome prosthetic effects.
Abortion.
You're not going to really have CG. You're going to have hilarious acting, awesome acting. Like, it's all over the place.
Yeah, man. You kind of prefaced it with Billy Drago and his acting in this movie, and every time he opened his mouth in this movie, I just wanted to bust out laughing.
I mean, there's a few parts that I really love, not because they're funny, but just like you can tell he's like really upset, and I think he acted them well. But like, there's 75% of it he overacts. I mean, just the damn, and the pounding on the floor just fucking kills me.
Yeah, like that. There was one really great scene at the end, I believe it is, when he's you see the images of his sister, and man, that scene was great. I loved the way that it was portrayed. His acting, in that is just wonderful. But yeah, some of the things that he said in this movie were just so goofy.
Yeah, and I didn't really know much about the production, but in trying to like find a stream of this uncensored and all that shit, I'll get to the podcast stuff at the end because I don't know how long that'll go on, but
that's gonna go on for a minute.
They brought up some stuff that I really enjoyed and didn't consider. Like this was the one that didn't air. That was just like, if you bought the set, you got it, or if you paid attention, like it was out there. Sean got the set. We watched Dreams in the Witch House and a couple others, and I was like, fuck yeah, and he was super stoked on them. Then like a week later, he called me and was like, dude, I'm high off my ass, and this is the most fucked up movie I've seen in a long fucking time. And was like, you need to get over here. Not right now because I'm high off my ass, but like when I'm not, and fucking come smoke and watch this. And I think I probably smoked more than you at that viewing, like because you were just like keep hitting it, and I was like, you know what happens if I keep hitting this fucking giant purple bong, dude? But like I ended up finding out that, you know, Miike this is a retelling of some mythological story, some Japanese myth. He like had a list of boundaries he couldn't cross on American television, and he's quoted in an interview of being like, I don't think I crossed it. Even Mick Garris was like, he was willing to make cuts, but I told him no, do not cut any of this fucking movie. I think what the feminine critique didn't understand was like, Takashi made MPD Psycho, which I was like, you know, this is back when I was going through all of his movies back to back. And MPD Psycho was a made for TV serial killer movie where like his MO would like, he would put flower pots with like actual plants on his victims' heads. Mm-hmm. And it was like the most like benign, this is more of a thriller than it is a horror movie type shit, like a police procedural type of thing.
Right.
He's not always been the gorehound that people think he is. And he's retired out of that. He's been doing a lot of like jokey superhero shit lately. He had his awesome ass samurai period after all the horror movies, but this wasn't anything for him to be like, I went too far. Visitor Q is out there. That fucking movie goes way too far for me. Another thing I found cool about production was he said he made it a point, and people on the set even corroborated this. He made it a point to show people this is just latex. This is just rubber. You're not actually going to get hurt. This is a prop knife. This is a prop needle. This isn't going to hurt. So they didn't feel nervous or anything like that, which I think is pretty fucking cool, because most people, like especially in horror, want that initial reaction of like, I didn't know this was going to happen, holy shit, and flipping out.
Yeah, I mean, some directors in the horror field kind of fuck with actors too. They'll like put them in situations that they don't know that they're being filmed.
And if you're talking about Jeepers Creepers, sometimes they fuck the actors. Sorry, bad joke.
Yeah, fucking Christ. Like I see people talking about Jeepers Creepers on these like horror film forums and shit. I'll admit, when I watched it, it was great. I loved Justin Long.
Old to know about the Funhouse.
Yeah,
too young.
I was not a privy to the information of what the director was doing, but
I don't know the story. Who fucked Justin Long?
Nobody fucked. Well, I mean, Justin Long's probably gotten a lot of tail or received a lot of dick downs. Maybe in what was it, Zach and Miri or whatever. But I love that dude, Silva, who I think he also did Powder. I may be mistaken in that.
Yes,
really?
Yes.
But him and I think either Mick Garris or Tobe Hooper made the Funhouse, which was just like, apparently it's still a really good horror movie, a really good like fucked up slasher. But behind the scenes, they like fucked a handicapped kid or like an autistic kid or something like that and filmed it. And he went to jail forever because of it. And then he got out and he was like, here's Jeepers Creepers 3.
I mean, just finding out about that, it kind of sours the whole thing for the first movie. I mean, the second movie was shit. The third one was no better. They just released Reborn.
Dude, like I said, like growing up was like horror movies at Sean's house. Always horror movies and comedy movies, so we could like fall asleep. Kevin Smith, and then like whatever fucked up horror movie that we hadn't seen or were just obsessed with and didn't own. I know I remember distinctly watching Jeepers Creepers 2 with the school bus at Sean's plenty of times, listening to an Ozfest CD way too loud, probably.
Just kind of going back to how the movie, I guess, got removed from it originally airing. Takashi was kind of stated that he thought I thought that this was going to be right up to the limit of what American television would tolerate. As I was making the film, I kept checking to make sure I wasn't going over the line, he said. But he said, I guess I misestimated.
Yeah.
So he said they just kept sending it back and forth, and it just kept getting denied.
Yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
I feel like it's a nice treat. I mean, I didn't know he did a Masters of Horror until Sean told me and was like, it's Japanese. And as soon as he said Japanese, like I looked up who made it, and I was like, fuck, I got to go over to his house like as soon as possible. Because I remember it was a late night too. I showed up at like 9 or 10. It was already dark out. It might have been fall, so maybe 8 or so. But I remember just instantly being like, put that shit in as soon as possible, because back then I had the Ichi the Killer prequel where he was like jerking off while watching his parents having sex. Since it was an anime, like you could do whatever you fucking wanted. I love too that if you watch his alumni, like all the actors he uses, like he's a real fucking cinema buff. And Ichi the Killer, like Kakihara the detective, Ichi the big fucking like Master Roshi dude that brainwashes Ichi, is a fucking like horror movie vet. Half of them were in like 3 Godzillas a piece. He's fucking great. And then he comes over here and makes Imprint with Billy Drago from fucking
Hills Have
Eyes. And the little man was not the little man from Willy Wonka and Eastbound and Down like we thought. I did check that out. Yeah,
nah.
I still think that.
we can pretend it. We can pretend it's Deep Roy all you want, but it's actually not. I don't know. I mean, I've always been a fan of the dude, and Imprint might be the most recent time he's knocked me out of the fucking park with a movie that was horror based.
Yeah, I mean, I think the first introduction to Takashi Miike I got was, of course, Audition. That is such a unusual movie because a lot of people just, came up to me. They're like, dude, you have to watch this movie. You have to watch this movie. You have to watch this movie.
Right.
It's so fucked up. It's so fucked up. And I'm like, throughout most of the movie, it's kind of like set up like a romance, and you're like, oh, what's going on? But there's some scenes that are kind of like weird and fucked up as well, like kind of splashed in.
It's hard
then,
because,
of course,
like,
that ending.
I hate romantic comedies. So the first time I watched it, we were all smoking. There were like 5 people there, and I was fucking hate romantic comedies. And I was with Matt Trimboli, and he was just like not having it. And I was like, you gotta give it time, man. This is gonna change. I know it is. An hour in, everybody's just glued to the fucking TV.
Yeah, because I think like with Takashi, his style, especially with Audition, that was such a slow burner. But when it started to burn, Jesus fucking Christ, I just remember literally just like feeling horrible, especially like the scenes with the dude in the knapsack when he comes out and he's fed.
That's why
fucking nasty.
I don't know if
shit.
I ever had you watch it, Sean, but I'm excited for both of you. If Sean hasn't seen it, but 3 Extremes.
I've watched it, yeah.
With dumplings and Cut.
Great.
Yeah. So you're gonna get Cut, which is probably my favorite, just because it's Park Chan-wook from Old Boy and Lady Vengeance. So the story is really tight. And then you're gonna get Dumplings, which is gonna blow your fucking mind.
I've heard a lot about Dumplings, but I've never seen it.
If you can skip over the 3 Extreme one and find the full version, because they made a full movie out of it, and there's a lot more character background and stuff. But Takashi does a segment called Box, which is very similar to like Dude Crawling Out of the Bad type shit. If I'm not mistaken, it's about like a ballerina that this guy just keeps in like a really small fucking box. Yeah. And only lets her out to like torture her. Very good. It's like, oh, here's Cut. Oh, here's Dumplings. Oh, you're gassed out. Here's Box. Have a good night. And it's just like, what the fuck?
With recently, when I saw Beau is Afraid, there was only one other movie that really had me kind of gripping my seat. And Audition, when shit kicks in, it really made me start to grip my seat. But with Beau is Afraid, during those like panic attack scenes, man, I was like literally just gripping my seat so hard I was almost like kind of shaking. A little bit, because it's super intense.
Yeah, I was about as depressed as I could be at that point. Had I seen that the week I hadn't had any medication, I probably would have fucking lost my mind and turned it off. Like I said, like if it wasn't for those shitty advertisements of like someone in Taiwan showing Kobe's like big head mode, telling me to go gamble on their website because I streamed it off an illegal site, like I probably wouldn't have made it through the movie. Imprint didn't make you grab my couch at all?
The needles and the gums. That was doing it for me.
Yeah. I'm mostly with you on teeth too after my periodontals thing. Even though I found a place to like gas me and fix my teeth since I started smoking and finally like put all that behind me, like I still don't like teeth shit. I mean, I know I'm not as bad as you, but teeth shit still kind of rub me the wrong way.
I'm so bad I can't even watch people on TV brush their fucking teeth. Like every time a fucking toothpaste commercial comes on, I'm like it literally sends like chills down my spine. I don't know why. It's just like it's always been a thing with me.
Under the nails was worse than the teeth.
Oh, that didn't bother me at all. But
for me, it was the armpit. It was the armpit, dude.
Oh, man.
It's to the armpit.
Because I've gotten like infected hairs or shit like that, or like skin tags, and it's just like you can't get them, and then you're like just making it worse and swollen. And then I was just like, man, this is fucking terrible. And then at the same time, I'm like, if that ugly ass bitch put a match or an incense up to my fucking ingrown hair, they probably feel great. And I mean, that's one of my biggest things I want to comment on is like, I love Park Chan-wook. Like the Sympathy trilogy is great. What I watched of The Handmaiden, I just didn't finish it, and then they took it off Prime. Was fucking great. Is an amazing fucking writer, and stories hook me harder than anything. But he uses very, very pretty fucking Koreans, male and female. Like they're always just like gorgeous models almost. I mean, the chick from Lady Vengeance is like a fucking like hard 8-9. Like she just looks fucking great. And then you have, Miike. Give me this homeless woman off this corner in Tokyo. Come with me. Let's go to a rural village and you're going to get your armpit stabbed. Or you're going to have really bad teeth and do some stabbing of some armpits. Either or.
All have black teeth.
Yeah, dude. They're all like just horrendous.
Yeah,
looking.
dude. Like the black teeth and shit, it just adds to an element of like kind of trashiness to the movie.
I mean, even in Ichi the Killer, like the main chick that Kakihara beats the fuck out of, she's probably the most attractive in all of his movies, and she's not even like stellar. She's pretty, but it's just like, it's nothing amazing, and it's just funny how, I don't know if he considers that or it just happens that way, but it's just funny, the juxtaposition. There's a lot of very artful scenes, like Old Boy's fight scene is like a 2D video game fight scene, and there's very classical music all through Park Chan-wook's movies, and like Thirst is very artful.
Like with Lady Vengeance, the score, incredible score. To me personally, the movie was beautiful with the cinematography, and the score was just outright fantastic.
Yeah, and then you have like Ichi the Killer, where it's really abrasive, in your face fucking techno every 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Okay, this next shot is going to be the Yakuza walking down the street, and it's just like, wow, and then it's like, okay, we're going to have a really sad torture scene. Wow. It's just funny the moment Kakihara like busts his eardrums so he can finally be deaf, because he's just tired of hearing that motherfucking kid scream like a baby. Just such a perfect fucking part in a film.
That movie is just so insane. Like, I did not know what to fucking think when I saw Ichi. Dude.
And I always forget how good it is because of like the whole like boss got his face swapped. I always forget that exists, and like the boss is really alive and he's the one cleaning up all the bodies and shit. Just such a fucking great part. And then like the older detective, he's been in so many cop movies. He's been in Outrage. He was in Tetsuo. Takashi Miike used a bunch of actors from Tetsuo the Iron Man and Tetsuo 2. It's just fucking great how it's just like, it seems like a tight-knit community where they just do that. Like Dead or Alive is fucking crazy like that.
I had a few questions for you guys about Imprint. So at the beginning, it starts with her on the boat, and then they see the floating body who is with child. Was that Komomo?
It could have been.
That was a question that kind of popped up in my head when I watched it a second time.
I think that movie is extremely dependent on the Unreliable narrator, because she changes her story like 5 times.
Yeah, when I saw that the second time I watched it,
Billy's a fucking nut. Maybe he thought he saw her. Like, you don't know.
That's my second question. Is there's a theory that he killed Komomo because when he shoots the other girl, she turns into Komomo, and then he also killed his sister. That's why he's in prison.
Right.
Killed his sister, fled, killed Komomo, then
made up this big story in his head. Yeah. Probably because he's bored as fuck.
Which also makes you think, like, everything that's going down in this room, is it just him basically losing his mind?
Exactly.
Is it,
or living out some fantasy to, like, right his innocence?
He's a journalist, so is it him just trying to save face of what he did? Maybe write down his confession. Was the creepy girl with the hand in her head even real? It's such a crazy movie. But yeah, when you bring that up with the girl in the river in the beginning, it was so random in the beginning. I didn't really know what to think when I first watched it with Mike. Well, why didn't anybody else just like notice this?
And he has a real knack for just like ripping band-aids off right in the middle of a movie. You get through a couple opening credits and then it's, here's a body, or like, here's something fucked up.
Right.
Which is why Audition is like so great, because he keeps that under wraps and slowly, edges into it. And I don't want to go into Audition because it's an amazing movie, I'm not going to lie. And I think it should be everybody's first Miike experience if they can stomach like a romantic comedy, because it's the perfect movie to like put on with your girl and be like, let's watch this cool Japanese romantic comedy, and then it just goes to shit. Like,
speaking of that, that's what I do with Imprint.
Right.
My new girlfriend, the first 2 movies I watched with her was Imprint and Sleepaway Camp. I was just like, I want to see how you deal with these 2 twists. and then we'll go from there.
The other
just watched
day.
Sleepaway Camp,
Oh
and
yeah.
I informed him I've never seen it. I unfortunately I know about the twist because like
Yeah.
some shitty movie website was like, it's very transphobic, and I was like, oh, I want to watch it now.
Dude, when
because
you were talking about that, I was like, how is it, for one, how is the movie even to be considered transphobic?
dude, not, but yeah, I'm gonna watch Sleepaway Camp soon. And what I actually
Dude, yeah.
did that with when I started seeing a girl a few years ago. Initiation test was always Inland Empire.
Okay.
Like, if you can sit through this, just accept you're not gonna understand it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Look
Yeah.
at me at the end if you don't end up fooling around with me, but look at me at the end and be like, what the fuck? That's fine. That's all I want. Is for you to just watch a movie and be content with not knowing what happens. Because David Lynch says when they ask him, he's like, I know exactly what happens in Inland Empire. And then every interviewer is like, so can you break it down for us? And he's like, no. Like, he refuses to. And I'm like, that's fucking awesome.
That's the
So,
thing.
well, I mean, he does it in a lot of stuff, but he'll usually like let out a couple details and you can piece it together. With Inland Empire, he refuses to, and that's what upsets everybody.
I think that's a movie. Don't know what's going on in that movie.
You're just supposed to take that movie on the fucking nose, dude. And just be like, I don't know what happened, but I liked a few scenes or I hated the whole thing. Like, you know, it's whatever. And the funny thing is that is the last movie that he like put out in theaters with a big budget. And he was like, I have no desire to do a big budget movie ever again. You basically just blew all their money probably on cocaine and mushrooms and was like, fuck you later. There's a very good scene of, I'm sure you've seen it, of him saying that Laura Dern deserves an Oscar. And he's sitting on like a corner in LA with a cow on like a rope in a lawn chair wearing a sign that says Laura Dern deserves an Oscar. Yeah, dude. And it's just like, I love this man so much because he takes nothing seriously ever. And I thought he was like shit after Inland Empire. He may not have it in him. And then when he did Twin Peaks: The Return, I was like, this dude is the fucking man. Like, still to this day. And he still does the weather every day. You can get on Twitter every day and watch him be like, well, it's 86 with a chance of rain. Have a good fucking day. And he just like drinks his coffee. Like, every single day he does the weather. And I keep realizing, like, man, he's like pushing 80, like he's gonna die soon. This sucks so bad. Who's gonna do the weather? But yeah, that was always my initiation test for like a girl like coming over to watch a movie for the first time in a while. Like, I hope the recording picks that up because that
I heard it. I heard it. Yeah,
dude, it's 7:41, so they're always like, all right, gun it. But yeah, I mean, like, that was my initiation for a long time, and it was funny because the last time I did it, I went to GameSwap. I bought a bunch of movies and I laid them all out on like table. Cause Sean knows how I do. Like, if I go and buy like a bunch of movies and like we're gonna hang out, I'll bring a stack and I'm like, dude, pick one of these. Like, I've done it with Xbox games with Sean, like Nintendo games, whatever. And it's like, I bought all these for us. I don't care what order we fucking enjoy them in, but you pick, man. It's your house. Like, I don't give a fuck. And then I laid out all these and like I was hugging the girl and I was like, what do you want to watch? She was like, she picked like one other one. And I was like, no, I already picked. And I just like put in Inland Empire. And like she just sat there fucking silent for 2 hours and 40 minutes. And I was like, well, I think I'm going to get out of here. And I hugged her and I kissed her goodbye. I was like, she ain't the one. She's just not.
It ain't it.
And I'm sure she still tells that story of just like, he made me watch fucking Inland Empire. But yeah, Imprint's a good one. It's a nice hour. You still got time to fool around. If they're not thinking about fetuses floating down a fucking river.
Man.
Bamboo stick abortions.
I let a buddy of mine borrow Imprint, and I didn't tell him anything about it.
So you found it?
Yeah, I have it.
Okay. Because I knew the night you texted me, I was like, I give all my shit back. Don't even do that, dude. And I wouldn't keep Imprint from you. I wouldn't keep the best fucking shit that you treasure from you and be like, I got it. I do have a confession to make after this story, though.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I let a guy from work borrow it. He's a good friend, but I didn't tell him anything about it. I was like, it's a horror movie. It's got some messed up things in it. You and your wife should watch it, whatever. And I like bugged him while he was watching it, I'm texting him. I'm like, what
What
part
part
are
are
you
you
at?
at? Yeah.
What part are you at? Dude, I think he maybe 15 minutes in. I was like, what part are you at? He's like, we took it out. All right. That's.
I can't do that, man. Unless it's bad. Like, unless it's truly bad. Like,
even if it's bad, I'll try to stick it out. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Demons Within was the worst thing I've ever seen in my life, and I don't want to get back on that again.
Christ.
But like, I stuck it out, and I was in a depressed, awful mood, and that movie was so bad. I tried to watch like a palate cleanser after to be like, I don't want to go to sleep on that awful movie. Nothing tickled my fancy. I was putting in Tom and Jerry, and you know how I am with Tom and Jerry. Like, that was my cure-all for panic attacks. I was putting in fucking El Topo. I was putting in fucking I put in Saving Private Ryan, and I was like, I don't even care. And I just went to bed.
Holy Mountain.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely test somebody out with Holy Mountain.
So my confession is,
yes,
a long time ago, we watched Saving Private Ryan, and I was like, damn, I want to watch that again, but I gotta leave. I still have your copy of Saving Private Ryan.
Don't worry about it. I got it on Blu-ray.
I was like looking to buy it on Blu-ray, and then I let Ben borrow a bunch of movies, and I was like, I have this case. It's unlabeled, like entirely. Like I didn't even write a piece of notebook paper on it. And then I opened it up, and I was like, oh, I have Sean Saving. And I just kept thinking about how much you love the scene with Upham, and I was like, he probably hasn't seen it in years, and I felt so bad.
I haven't. Upham.
Yeah, I got Band of Brothers and The Pacific on Blu-ray, and I actually got into an argument with somebody because they tried to tell me The Pacific sucked, and I was like, you're out of your fucking mind, dude.
Did you watch Generation Kill?
A long time ago, but yeah. Generation Kill's dope.
Iraq War.
Yeah.
Same like Band of Brothers and stuff. It was really good.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I think what we should do next is maybe play a scene.
I know you've got a scene lined up.
Focus on Imprint.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Why not just play a fucking scene from this crazy-ass movie? You guys got any suggestions? I'm just scrolling through.
I mean, you know there's only so much we can show in this fucking movie.
Yeah.
Well, my favorite parts is the little guy picking a booger out of his half-eaten...
The decaying syphilitic skin out of his nose. I told you it was mine and Sean's favorite part. Like, because we always thought it was Deep Roy from Willy Wonka. We always thought that.
Absolutely. I like just the way he goes, poof.
Yeah.
Is that towards the beginning? I can't remember.
That's right after they get off the boat and all the people with the weird colored hair stare at him. He's got the chicken for the head. But it's not the torture scene where he has the chicken for the head.
Nah, it's where he's looking at all the whores and they're like...
Yeah, and he's like, if you stay the night, I give you good woman. Yeah. It's before he picks a kimono or whatever.
Not a real thrilling scene, but...
It's hilarious, though. Yeah, we can show it.
Is there any way for you to play just audio? Because those screams during that torture.
I could cut it out and like just use the audio, but yeah.
I'm saying, man, I did find that Stowaway CD the other day, and I wish that set would have went how it should have, because I used all 6 minutes of her screaming while getting tortured through a distortion pedal.
English? American? I thought so. Well, you'd better get a move on, or it'll be morning. What is done here is best done in the dark. Come to stick it between the girl's legs, didn't you?
I'm looking for a girl.
I have lots of girls.
No. A very special girl. Her name is Komomo.
Never heard of a girl called that. She's not on this island.
case. I'll be moving along.
No. Not tonight. No boat until morning, mister. You have to spend the evening somewhere. So, why not here? Come in. I'll give you a good price and a better lady.
What in the back?
The way that this is all set up is just like like you said that this is supposedly supposed to be a mythological story,
right? And I tried to find the context, the history, or anything like that, and I really couldn't.
Yeah, and like it almost seems like the little dude is kind of like a menace, like very menacing, and kind of sets the tone for the whole thing that's going to be happening.
Right.
And what a random thing to just be like, yeah, I'll just pick the one in the back instead of all the other ones that are up front, like asking to suck your dick, basically.
Right, but I mean, at that point, he's just interested in finding her. He's interested in gossip and shit.
Yeah.
Isn't she the only one with blue hair too? The rest, everybody else has red.
Yeah, she has blue hair. The rest of the girls have red hair. Komomo have red hair. I know that. Yeah, it's. I don't know if it's like I don't know if that was maybe intentional with the red and the blue, since this was supposed to be like an American release for him. But yeah, man, just the way that this is set up, and then the events that lead up to her telling him what happened, it just gets worse and it gets worse and worse. And that seems to be like an ongoing theme with Takashi Miike. His movies just like they start off like, yeah, it's just like a normal everyday kind of thing, and then it just gets worse and worse.
Even his non-horror movies are very much like that. Like,
with the exception of Ichi, because that movie just like is balls to the wall throughout the whole thing.
It's like every other scene, but that was sort of the antithesis of like, the Japanese putting out so many Yakuza movies. Him putting out so many Yakuza movies, he just wanted to finally just be like, there it is, and just fucking go for it. But I mean, if you watch Dead or Alive, I think there's 3 or 4, and I don't know if I've seen the last one, but the last one I watched, I don't know if I watched with Sean or I text him about it, but like it ends in a Dragon Ball Z battle. Like, I'm not even fucking kidding you. Like they get into like a gunfight, they get into a hand fight, and then like the last part, somebody fucking Kamehamehas the fucking other dude and he explodes. And I was just like, what the fuck? And then like Gozu is like a murder that happens in the Yakuza family that's like fucked up, so they're investigating it more than like retaliating. And then like at some point in Gozu, somebody ends up like a giant anthropomorphic like bull and just like goring people. And I mean, his samurai movies get like that too. I mean, it's like the Kill Bill blood spray scene every sword fight in all of his samurai movies. It's so fucking sick.
Yeah, I mean, like with this movie though, I wonder if the girl that he is in with this throughout is like maybe a representation of Lady Death. I don't know, because it's like he was meant to talk to this person, and he was meant to find out what happened to Komomo, and she tells him this story over and over again, and it's basically like 3 or 4 different versions of it. And I just wonder if this was just something where he was just meant to meet this person, or even if she's fucking real. If she is real, then it's
if we're going with that, it's funny because it starts with the tamest one and gets crazier, and it's like, is she trying to placate him or just like get the one out to finally get him to surrender his sanity and just
Right.
fucking, you know, realize that he's locked up in a prison, or it ends up happening
Right,
that way.
which like with the whole thing, with the ending and her big reveal, I makes me think that this is more of a cosmic kind of horror kind of deal. Like it's very, um, I don't know how to explain. It's very kind of almost in the vein of Lovecraft a little bit, because of the way that his insanity throughout, while she tells these different stories or versions of the story, it just gets worse, and he just descends into madness by the end of it.
Yeah, or that it's just that she's a fucking pathological liar,
That too.
and wants to
There's a
make
few different
herself out
ways you can
better.
interpret it.
Right. Or you can go, you know, the feminist critique route and just say that they're all whores, but they had no choice, and that. I mean, we don't really got
No,
to
I
get into
mean,
that.
for me, just watching this with you just a few weeks ago, my first sitting, I didn't get that kind of feeling with it. I
Yeah,
got like something more sinister was happening, with him meeting this woman.
yeah, it's
Um,
way less about like this takes place at a whorehouse. That's like the least of the concerns. Like,
right.
no matter which of the three stories you believe her on or think is true or whatever angle you're going for, that is the least of the concern.
But they do show her getting plowed.
Yeah,
He's like, "Don't look at me, freak."
yeah. Um,
Yeah, but that it just leads with the question, is this more of a cosmic kind of thing that's going on?
yeah, and I would be interested to look into, you know, I know Lovecraft birthed a lot of that, but surely through all the stories throughout time, I mean, I just popped a link in the chat for mythologically what it means to be a two-mouthed woman in Japanese mythology, but I just somebody somewhere, Ireland, England, Iran, China, Japan, India, somebody maybe even pre-Lovecraft had to come up with wild shit like this.
Mhm.
You know, it goes deep. It's not anything that Lovecraft is solely like responsible for.
No, but it is a style,
Yeah,
and it's a kind of it's its own genre, if you will.
it's kind of
And
like
that's what I kind of got with it, with the situation. I didn't think it was like just like something where, oh, this guy's just going to a whorehouse and he's just looking for his wife. I think there was something deeper
right.
happening with this whole situation.
Yeah, and let me see. So the World Fantasy Award, now that we're bringing up, cosmic horror from other, races and locations, was always given out, with a bust of H.P. Lovecraft. Like that was the fucking award you got if you wrote like something exceptional, and they granted you that award. And then there was controversy because somebody got it, and it wasn't too long ago, and they were like, this guy was a fucking racist. I don't want this, blah, blah, blah. The entire society should change the award to somebody that's not a racist piece of shit. And one of the previous winners who was either Middle Eastern or of Indian descent was like, okay, take him back. I want nothing to do with you guys. Like, if you're going to throw him under the bus, me being Indian or Middle Eastern, just fucking take my words away. Just strike me from the fucking record, because I want nothing to do with you guys if this is the shit you're pulling. And I just always like think of that guy, and I'm like, dude, what a fucking badass. Like, you win the fucking World Fantasy Award, and you're just like, you know what, fuck them.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
it's
with
been
what
some
you
lame
just
statue since 2016.
yeah,
That's like a
I mean,
tree like gripping the moon.
with what you just sent me
But Sean
in
likes
the
creepy
chat,
trees, so maybe that's his thing.
Yeah, it definitely kind of makes a little bit more sense about what she is represented as. She could also be a ghost as well, or what they call the Uri, which is basically a menacing demon of sorts, as what they in the Japanese culture. It's I don't think she's very literal in this movie. I don't think she's meant to be taken very literal as a person. I think it's more of
Right.
a being.
So she's not just a offspring of incest with a parasitic twin.
I mean, if that happens in real life, then some people might be really fucked.
Yeah, and I mean that's one thing. Like, I'm waiting for that documentary. Like, there was a I want to say probably as early as 70s, 80s, but it might even been sooner. I think in Melbourne or New Zealand, either Australia or New Zealand, there was like a whole fucking clan of like inbred family, like 4 or 5 generations down. And CPS took her baby. And that CPS like actually like came in because they found like, a couple of the kids had wandered to like a general store to buy some shit, and somebody was there and was like, these kids are fucked in the head. Like, they don't know how to do basic shit that they should know how to do. They're not showing signs of autism. They're not showing signs of Downs. Like, something else is really wrong here. Like, they're not being taken care of. And they went back to some ranch, and it was like literally these Australians like fucking their sisters, their aunts, their cousins, their uncles for generations and generations off the grid. And it's like, how bad can that get? Like, I don't want to see it, but like, if it's historically happened, like, do a documentary about it, because like,
Have you seen about the Whitakers?
Whitakers sound really familiar. I might have read about it.
It's on YouTube.
Oh yeah, the guy who does
Soft White Underbelly.
yes, that dude rules.
Yeah,
dude, the Whitakers are
dude.
up, but they don't have a lot of physical deformities.
They all have like messed up eyes.
Yeah,
like,
and they might have shitty motor skills, but I mean, we don't have like palms coming out of heads and shit.
Nah,
Yeah,
but
now you're hanging from your skull.
Yeah, when I still had Facebook, man, I would watch hours of Soft White Underbelly, and then I'd be like,
man,
I just
I've
watched
seen a lot
a crack
of his
whore
episodes.
talk about her life for an hour and 45 minutes. I need to go do something.
You see the one where the guy pulled the gun on him during the interview? Dude, it's fucking
that sucks, because that's a real nice dude. Like, he's a fucking rad dude.
Nuts, dude. Like, this guy is just like he's a total fucking nihilist, and like he's just out of his goddamn gourd. He said that he lost his wife and his child in a fire, and like basically just has
that sounds like some Manchester by the Sea shit. I don't blame him.
Yeah, no life to live. Like, he doesn't even care. And just like towards the middle of the interview, the guy asked him, asked him about his family. He's like, "You got any family?" And he's like, "No." He's like, "I watched my wife and child burn alive in a fucking fire."
That's Manchester
and then
by
he just
the Sea.
pulls out his gun. And he's like, it could be real easy if I could just take this gun and put a bullet right in the middle of your head. And he cocks the gun and he points it at him. It's just like so fucked up, dude.
Yeah. I know you kind of like grief movies, Ben. And every once in a while I need a good cry. So, I love Ryan Gosling to death, and I will die on that hill. Blue October is definitely one of the best depressing movies I've ever seen. But I haven't seen Beyond Two Oceans yet. I heard that was really fucking fucked up and sad. But I know we were talking about Casey Affleck recently. I finally watched Manchester by the Sea, and it's not exceptionally brutal. It's more about like getting over grief than dealing with the grief. But I'll semi spoil it. He parties all night. He gets coked out. Like I said, I went on a Boston movie kick. As much as I hate that fucking accent, like I watched like Gone Girl, Gone Baby Gone. I watched fucking Gone. Manchester by the Sea. Like, I watched
The Fighter.
everything I could think of. But he basically like parties too much one night, gets coked out, drunk, high as fuck. His wife is like screaming at him to make his friends go home. And he's like, all right, wife's in bed, friends are home, kids are asleep. And he like falls asleep by the fire for like 10 minutes. And he's like, I'm going to go get some more beer. And he goes and gets more beer and he comes back. His whole fucking house is burned down and his kids died. And the rest of the movie is like his brother passes away and he is given like all of his brother's fishing boat, his brother's estate, and his brother's son.
Mm-hmm.
And is like, you're going to be the legal guardian until he's 18. And, you know, the son isn't about it. But there's a part where Casey Affleck is like at the fucking police station and they're like, tell me what happened. He's like, we were partying. He's like, on what? And he's like, I did a bunch of coke, did a bunch of alcohol, weed to buy more alcohol, came back, house was on the ground. And then like, they're like, all right, you know, we're not going to charge you with anything, given everything you've been through. You can go ahead and go. And his dad and his grandfather are like waiting in the waiting room. And there's some cop at the front desk and he just like fucking like flips open. Shane Gillis actually like reenacted it on the latest podcast, but he like flips open the holster of some cop's gun, puts it in his fucking mouth. It's like pulling the trigger and it's not fucking going, and like 9 cops tackle him. And the whole movie is him just being like, I can't fucking do this, dude. But it's a fucking amazing ass movie. But I just love Casey Affleck.
You know, I having to go through a house fire before.
Yeah, that's right.
I had to watch because there was a 2-year-old that died in that fire.
Yeah.
I had to watch a mother who was out in the same situation. She was out getting drunk at the bar, and she had to come home and couldn't do anything. You know, she just had to watch the house fire, just watch the house burn, and her knowing her 2-year-old child's in there. So I'm watching all of this go down, and because we have to be there for reports and we have to be there for Red Cross and all that other bullshit. And yeah, man, it was heartbreaking. I could not even imagine.
Yeah, dude, my whole life, like, I don't know if something happened in my mom's history. I think it was like my mom's aunt or something, but like lost everything. And like, my mom has always been real fucking wild. Like, don't fall asleep with the TV on. Don't fall asleep with your PlayStation on type shit. And like, I mean, when people went to sleep, everything was off in the house. If it had a light, if it was plugged in, it was either off or unplugged. Like, my mom did not play. Don't leave the computer on. Like, just wild shit. And once I lived in an apartment, I was like, I'm not worried about me. I'm worried about everybody else. Like, I don't know who's drunk fucking cooking like stir fry at fucking like 3 a.m. about to burn their house down.
Yep. And that was the situation we were in because it was like a grill, 3 or 4 townhouses in one building.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember like when I didn't have my meds, my insomnia was fucking with me so bad. I went on like 2-3 hours of sleep for like 2 weeks. So I was like shadow peopled out, like out of the corner of my eyes and shit. I was like, what the fuck? Because my dad helped me buy some traps and lay them for that mouse. And I was like, Dad, I just saw that fucking mouse again. Like, and we had proof that he had eaten the bait. And my dad's like, that don't make any sense. He's like, are you sure you saw that fucking mouse? And I was like, I guarantee I saw the mouse. Like, I'm not hallucinating that shit. But like, that's just my thing is like, you know, I have no idea what other people are doing, man. And I don't know what the fuck is going to pop off. And it's like, by the time I do, it's too late. I'm going to grab a stack of records and throw them in my car. Like,
yeah. The only thing that we could do, because I remember it so vividly. I remember we went to bed at about 11:30. It was maybe 30 minutes or an hour later. I was woken up by the guy outside who started it because he was fucking drunk and methed out, and he had a fire pit that he wasn't supposed to have on his back porch. And something ignited in it and just caught the whole back half of the house on fire. And so I remember just hearing him screaming outside and seeing orange and seeing flashing lights. And I was like, Jackie, get your fucking ass up. I was like, get whatever you can put on. Let's get downstairs. We got to get out.
Yeah.
And luckily, the dogs followed us.
Right.
We had 2 dogs at the time, and we had 2 cats. The cats, unfortunately, we couldn't get to. They died.
Yeah, they'll get scared and hide.
Yeah, it was awful, man.
Like, I remember, like I was telling you, I hate smoke alarms so fucking much because of just doing customer service for so long. And like, somebody's like, "Can you reset my Apple password?" And then the whole time it's just like, beep, 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 beep. And it's like, can you spend $2 for a 9-volt? God damn. But I remember I was so fucking just like strung out tired. And I finally, I call them Hat Man pills. Me and my friend Cassie do, because she's got sleep disorders. If you take too many Hat Man pills, you'll see the Hat Man and have sleep paralysis, which when I had a problem with Xanax, I finally had my sleep paralysis demon moment. And it's fucking exactly like Shane said. You see the same thing everybody else does, and it scares the fuck out of you. But I remember fucking falling asleep and my air purifier filter alarm went off. And this was like 2 days after I took my fire alarm off the wall and threw it in the freezer. Because it has like a safety feature to where if you take the battery out, it'll still beep. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I'm putting it in the freezer so I can't hear it, and the cold will kill the battery faster. I threw it in the freezer, and I went to sleep, and I was like, my mom would kill me if she knew I did that. And then I woke up in the middle of the night to just like, beep. And I just like sprung up, and I was like, oh God, is the house on fire? And I looked at my air purifier, and it was like, please change me. And I was like, fuck that. And I went back to sleep.
Anyway, so why don't we play another scene? Let's take a look at when the first meeting with Drago and the woman, and I think she's going to go into her first version of the story. So let me pull that up here.
I feel like you did a great job. That guy kicks it.
What I want to say is I really do love the shots of the tree and the colors. There's some parts like outside of the whorehouse in the beginning, after they get off the boat when he's talking to the pimp. Like, I don't really want to consider him a pimp because it seems more like the head bitch in charge is the main pimp, but the sub pimp, the underlevel pimp.
The sub pimp.
The other girl's been pimping since been pimping, but the syphilis guy got some issues
since a while.
He likes to indulge. But anyway, like, you can kind of tell that's on a stage with a backdrop, and I think that kind of adds to it. Given the classic like geisha play type situation, Mm-hmm. And every time they show that tree, like the colors are great. The scenes with the pinwheels are fucking great. I really love shit like that.
Yeah, the scenes with the pinwheels are very. I mean, it gives you a feeling like this is a Japanese movie.
Yeah.
It brings you into that kind of world.
Every aborted baby.
I think so. Yeah. Pinwheels represent like reincarnation or like loss of life or something like that.
I never knew that.
Yeah, they're very like regaled in Japanese society. They represent the cycle of life and becoming a child again.
When she says that she was passed away and she was thrown into the river, this brings back to Sean's original question in the beginning: was the woman in the river Komomo? This could very possibly be in this version of the story. Anyway, she was never found, and she basically was just left for dead in the river, and then you see the body in the river in the beginning. That could possibly be what happened there.
Right. I mean, they're not going to have, it's obviously a very poor whorehouse. They're not going to have any use for putting up with 9+ months of you bearing child. Even if it's not her, they're going to dump the body probably.
And I always thought like it was his child.
Yeah, it could be.
in her belly.
Especially with the bucket at the end and him being like so attached to it and everything.
That makes more sense. Yeah.
That could be. This kind of brings me to the podcast with the feminine critique and how they were talking about the women were just basically used as concubines. This is a way of life for these women. They have no choice. But they have to live in this, and they have to make money, and they have to be able to survive. You know, you get people that talk about sex workers and how they support them no matter what. This is something where they don't have any control over the situation.
We don't know each and every one of the prostitute situations. Some of them probably went willingly. If we're talking about today's society, you know, some of them were probably homeless. Some of them were probably fucking orphans. Some of them were probably sold by their parents, given the time period and everything. Yeah, that's bad, and I feel terrible for them, but 90% of them we're not here to care about. We're here to care about Komomo, and we're here to care about the bitch that's all inbred.
Didn't she say that she was sold off to the circus when she first...
Probably.
There was a few different versions of it, yeah.
I think she said the circus and then ended up in a whorehouse or whatever.
Right.
And then
there
was a version where she said that she was given to them so that she could have a better life or something like that. Her parents were tricked or something. You said we can't really trust anything this woman really says throughout the movie because she gives so many different stories. Yeah, that just made me kind of just think about that stupid fucking podcast that I listened to about this movie.
Yeah, and you know, while you've been showing scenes, I've been nailing through it, and the British dude he's fine. And the main chick is fine. The second they ask the other chick in the feminine critique, she says she checked out immediately. In fact, that's the moment I just pressed pause on. And this is a 59-minute podcast, and she is asked her feelings on the movie 17 minutes in, and she said she checked out immediately, which means you shouldn't be on this episode, and you shouldn't have anything to say about this. If this was a movie Sean never saw or he hated, I wouldn't have him like be here unless he really wanted to be like, I want to bitch about this movie. Then I'd let him. But like, it's
I didn't
just
get
silly
that because they asked her an honest question about what she thought about the movie, and then her first response was, "Nah, it was trash. It was absolute trash. You know, I don't even want to rate this movie and blah blah blah." And all that. It's just like, well, okay, well then why are you on the podcast?
Right. She wouldn't elaborate like, okay, so, you know, the amount of fetuses bother you. You feel Miike was just trying to get a rise out of people. Explain that. That's all I'm saying.
Right. Give your honest opinion. What made you feel this way?
I mean, there's a fuckload of fetuses in this movie. I ain't lying. Like, there's a lot of them. And you know,
and
I'm not a woman, and
I've never had
I've never had an abortion, so I can't tell you how that would make me feel. But
I don't know. Watching a fetus float down a river kind of made me feel calm.
He don't even not got to learn how to swim. He's just going with the tide.
Ain't even got to learn how to swim. Ain't even got to do it. No, man, it blew my mind how fast she dismissed it. And didn't even want to give a reason why.
Right. Why are you on the episode? You could have prefaced the episode like my partner. Ben is not going to be here. He was offended by the movie. He didn't enjoy it. So it's just going to be me and Sean.
No, man.
That's all you had to do.
like what we did with Demons Within. We hated the fucking movie.
Yeah.
But we still gave a reason why we hated the fucking movie.
I feel we went soft, but...
Well, we were pretty nice about it.
Yeah.
But the guy blocked me instantly.
Yeah.
One I never watched.
Don't.
Keep it that way.
I really wouldn't recommend it because
like I was driving over here. I was driving back from paying rent, and I was like, all right, I'm going to see if Sean's down. I'm going to see if Ben's down. You know, today was a good day. I got a job offer. I'm going to see if we can squash this out finally. I miss my friends, and I want to do this shit. I miss the podcast. So started texting y'all while I was driving like an idiot. And then I was like thinking at like some stoplight, I was like, we really did that. But like, I saw somebody like on the sidewalk waiting for a bus or something. I wouldn't even recommend it to them to pass the time. And I think about like Ben and Sean both like to put on shitty horror movies just to like fall asleep to. The amount of times I fell asleep in Sean's bedroom just hearing dun 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 dun. dun, 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 and I would just wake up an hour later, like Austin Powers is still going. Turn off TV, and I'd fall back to sleep. Like it was fucking terrible. But like that's what you guys do, and that's cool. Like I don't have a problem with it. I have to be like socially or mentally engaged to like even enjoy a movie, or I'm gonna get agitated and I can't fall asleep. I'm just gonna sit there and be like, this is stupid, and just like try to find something else. But I wouldn't even recommend it to somebody trying to like put something on in the background to pass out to. I mean, you'll pass out quick, I will say that. But if by chance that you have that trigger in your brain where you're like, this might get good later, like, I feel so bad.
I'm glad you guys didn't rip apart Deadbeat.
No, dude, that was amazing.
No, dude, that movie was fantastic.
I loved it.
I haven't watched the Manson one yet. I'm getting there, but I did watch.
The Manson one is nuts, dude. I watched it the other day. It's fucking crazy.
Yeah, I did watch the other one I told you I watched where he's got the dreadlocks and he looks like Maynard.
Yeah, my little Satan or something like that.
Yes, that one fucking ruled.
Dude, yeah. No, Deadbeat, there are some movies that are, super campy and super low budget. But like I said in the Demons Within episode, that movie was low budget. Like those guys had no fucking money whatsoever. And they made a great fucking movie. And they had $100,000 to put out this shitbag. And like it makes no sense to me. There's no excuses for people that make a movie and it's that fucking bad. Like they made no attempt to make the editing good. They made no attempt to make the sound good.
Yeah, dude.
They made no attempt to make the story flow.
You have to like rewind and turn up parts to hear people talk, and then like turn it back down to. It's like my mom's watching a movie, like she takes the loudest sound, like a gunshot, and is like, I shouldn't be able to hear that, so I would have to like lower it when I lived with her, to where it's like, why am I even trying to watch this movie? Like, I'm not gonna hear people talking as loud as a fucking gunshot. Like, and my biggest problem I was thinking the other day was like, there's that part where she goes crazy and apparently eats the cat or kills the cat. They could have showed.
I don't even remember, dude.
They could have showed a cat carcass or something, and they showed nothing. And it's like, it's a horror movie with no gore all the way through it, which I'm not gonna say hasn't been done, because it has, and it's been amazing. But it's like, it's so fucking bad, dude.
It's so bad.
Like I said, you could show it on daytime TV and people would be bored. Like your 98-year-old grandma would fall asleep and be like, "What the fuck was that?" Like,
and what made me mad about it was after we shot the episode, and before I posted it, the guy who asked me to review it was like, "Well, I hope it wasn't too bad for you," and I'm like, dude, all I sent him was like a thumbs up thing, and I was like, "Fuck you, dude." I was like, "This movie was
we discussed
horrible."
it. Like, how hard in should we go on this dude? Because I mean, you know me, I'll go hard on some media I don't fucking like for an exceptional amount of time. Like, I will. And I'm the type of person, if you're like, "Hey, will you come support my band?" and I'm like, "Oh, you need me to carry gear?" and they're like, "No, just come watch my band." And it's like, you play stoner metal, I don't like it. I'm not going to be there and listen to a genre of music I don't like. I hope you have a good time. I hope you have fun, but you don't need my support unless you need me to carry an amp or two, which I'll do if you need me to. But shit, I'm not gonna stay there and watch you play. And like, it's the same thing. It's like, if I had a friend in a country band and was like, "Hey man, our friend bailed and we can't really carry all our shit in," of course I'll help you. I'm not gonna stay there and watch you fucking twang diddly ang all day, but like, I was just hoping there was a single like 5-second moment where I was like, that part was cool, but there really wasn't. It was a big old waste of time.
Yeah, man. And
to see something like Imprint that could smash it in an hour and be flawless all the way through. And I won't say flawless like it's art, but like it's entertaining all the way through. Or to see
and
Deadbeat at Dawn, and it's just like fucking like sick all the way through and gets better all the way through.
Right.
on
I mean,
half
it's
the
just like,
budget.
what a coward though, because I told him, we will give an honest opinion
I
on this
held
movie.
back.
Can't
I held way
guarantee.
back.
We can't give a guarantee that it's going to be a good review. Not unless you fucking pay me or something.
I spent
know?
days texting you and being like, should I say this? I don't know. Is this too much? Is that too much?
We were
Yeah.
really nice about it, and that's
Yeah.
giving it lightly. We were real nice about it, but I told that dude, I was like,
I'm pretty
we'll
sure
get
I
an
said
honest
in the
opinion on it.
episode, like, I don't know who this is for, but if you're out there, maybe you'll enjoy it. Like, it's
Right.
not for me, dude.
Like, yeah,
Like-
we even said it was like, it's not for us. I don't think it was made for us.
Yeah, I don't know who it was made for. That's my main problem. Is I sat up like for nights and was like, who would enjoy this?
But for me, like, after it's happened, I was just like, I don't even care anymore. I could rip that dude to shreds because he was just such a fucking coward about it.
Oh, I don't care either. And I mean, if anybody wants to shout out, we have a couple things in the pipeline that people have wanted us to review that we got queued up next, or like, personal projects that you've been working on. Just know we're going to be honest, and we're totally down to fucking help you out and get you some exposure. It just might not be the exposure you want, but it's just our feelings on it. And I even said in that podcast, like, somebody fucking, my next door neighbor might see The Demons Within and be like, that was tight as fuck. And I'll be like, you're out of your mind, but they liked it. Who cares? Somebody at that drive-in might have fucking liked it, but who cares? Like,
right. And, and shout out to Carissa Grant, who asked us to review her graphic novel, Redemption. We'll get to that soon. Definitely want to do that because the artwork on it is sick. I loved it.
Yeah. I won't say too much, but it reminds me of The Darkness, which is one of my favorite comics ever.
But speaking of, why don't we do another scene? And I really want to show the torture scene because it's so crazy, but there's so much nudity. And I don't know if we'll be able to.
I think that's why he thought he could get away with it, since everywhere else but here, nudity is okay. It's just the graphic violence that isn't.
Maybe watch the scene of the dad beating up the mom.
Yeah, we do need at least one part of the, like, sake.
Those were good kids.
Sake.
Those were good kids.
Not that we condone that here, but it's fucking funny.
Oh, that's great.
When he just nods at her and he's like, sake.
Hey,
what the fuck's the point?
It's not a man beating his wife. It's just a brother and sister fight.
Exactly. It happens all the time.
Yeah.
I'm sure you remember this.
Right. Welcome to Kentucky.
Sean, I do have to say, I didn't know that Black Dahlia Murder put out more DVDs after the one that we watched a bunch.
Uh-huh. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, rest in peace, Trevor, by the way.
Dude, they broke me. Like, so bad. I mean, I watched them and I was laughing, and then I was crying, and then I was laughing, and I was crying, and I was laughing. Like, I was filling out apps, and then I, like, stopped, and I spent, like, 3 hours just being like, what the fuck? Like,
yeah, it made me the
Christmas one, and then the one before that. Like, because I hate their new guitarist.
Really, it made me like.
It's got a very hair metal vibe.
And their bassist,
their bassist is a monster, dude. That dude is huge.
Yeah.
But
I love Bart, like with the is that his name?
Yeah, Bart ruled. But like,
just
Brian doing vocals now is not good.
Oh,
yeah. There's a video of, and I love the dude, and I wish them the best, but he needs to step it up. I don't know if he has it in him. I hope he does, but like, he just stands there and he's just like.
He's the only original member.
Yeah, dude. But I mean, like, just seeing Trevor and him drunk and high on the tour bus again, and seeing Raul, who does the statutory ape like once a year, but is now like an MMA fighter, so they got somebody else to do it. But Raul was like driving them at one point, and Woody, who always fell asleep with his eyes open, was in a part. And I just started crying so much, dude. I was like, this fucking sucks. Like, And I don't care about
Trevor was
anything.
awesome.
I don't care about anything album they've done since Deflowerate, like at all. And it was cool to see like how awesome Ryan Knight is off camera, like or off stage. Like he's just a real goofy asshole, like all of them. And I didn't know that because we saw him in Arsis back in like 2000, I don't know, 8. But like, I don't know, dude. I just cried a ton because I wish they would like just come out with like why he fucking did it or how he did it, because I want to know. Like,
Gotta know. Yeah.
it's fucked up, but I want to know.
Yeah,
like,
I
was he
unfortunately
like,
never got to see him.
Was he like, this band is done and nobody sees it but me? Was it girl shit, or was it like way deeper?
I'm gonna chalk it up to depression.
No, I know it's that, but
Yeah,
something had to kick him, dude.
else,
I mean, he was like Metal Blade's like top earner. And up to the days that he took his life, like people were like, I saw him 2 days ago, dude. We just talked about metal for 45 minutes. It was great. We were laughing. Like,
he was an amazing dude.
Yeah, dude.
I always heard he was a really nice guy.
Dude, when we saw him, everybody in the band was shitty to me, which me and Sean were fucking fucked up, dude. I laid outside with Sean on cold sidewalk with our guts out because we just took Xanax and drank beer, which is the number one thing you should not do. And we just laid there and watched them play and was just like, ugh. Because I was literally in the pit for half their set, and I was like, I cannot fucking hang. I'm gonna puke and pass out at the same fucking time, dude.
I had to hold up a PA speaker the entire show.
Yeah, I remember. Because I kept trying to help you and like pull you away, but every time I would get close to you, the whole crowd would move me back, dude. Like it was a constant moving crowd. Like they played with Skeleton Witch, which was god awful. Like I watched a Browns game.
It was Trap Them, Toxic Holocaust.
Trap Them with the Swans hoodie. It was Toxic Holocaust, which was dope. And then
awesome.
Skeleton Witch played, but me and you sat at the bar and pounded Bud Light and Xanax. And we watched a Browns game. We were so fucking bored, dude. So I go to the bathroom before Black Dahlia starts, and I'm like, I gotta piss so fucking bad. I walk in there, and it's just Trevor. It's literally just Trevor. And I like take a piss and I'm like, I'm going to fucking lose it, dude. Like I'm trying to hold it down, but I'm going to lose it. And I just take like a big piss.
Trevor's like, nice cock.
No. And he just like looks at me and he's like, what's up? And I was like, you don't have any Tums, do you? And he's like, baking soda is it? And I was like, never mind. And he was like, good call. And then like I just shook his hand, like no washing of hands. I just shook his hand and I gave him a fucking hug and I was like, dude, you've been the shit in my life since like 2006. Like I don't care how many of my friends dog on you. I don't give a fuck, but you've been like the shit to me for so fucking long since your first demo. Called buy us a van at that. Like, and then I walk out and Trevor like grabs his girlfriend and they're all there with their girlfriends walking towards stage. So as a drummer, like my immediate thing is like, I got to say what's up to Shannon. Like, even though Shannon's a dick and straight edge and is just like, I only care about drumming and lifting weights. Like, and I'm like, I remember Sean was next to me. I don't know if Sean remembers. And I remember like Randy and like, I think we might've went with somebody else, but I was like Ricky or somebody, but I was like, yo, what's up? And I like yelled like something that they would know at them. And they all were just like, kind of like, we're with our girlfriends mode and got on stage. And I was like, what a bunch of fucking assholes, dude. Like, really?
I think it was probably me saying, smoke weed with me. I turned them off.
They were talking about in one of those DVDs, like, thanks for giving us the weed at the show. And then like, it was like the most decrepit looking joint, like that joint we found in your dad's tackle box that had been there since the 80s. And Brian like hit it and coughed a bunch and he was like, this is disgusting. Don't give us this. But yeah, dude, they were totally like rock star girlfriend mode. And I was like, you know what? I was on Xanax and beer. I was like, fuck you guys. And then they started and they just came out with like Thy Horror Cosmic. And I was like, wait, what did they say to me? I got to get down there. And then like, dude, it was so fucking good. And like, it was such a good high energy show that I had to go lay down on a cold floor and press my fat stomach on a cold floor. I was going to throw up everywhere. Like I couldn't stand still. I couldn't sit back and watch. It was just like constant movement, dude.
The tiniest floor, dude.
Oh yeah.
Smallest.
That kind of reminds me when I met Killjoy from Necrophagia.
Mm-hmm.
I met him in a bathroom too, and that shit was funny as fuck.
It's always weird because it's just like you and him, and it's just like, do we touch cocks or what do we do?
This was super funny because if you've never met him in real life, he's like 4 foot tall.
He's passed now, hasn't he?
Yeah, he died.
I
yeah.
thought so.
But if you've never met him before, he's like 4 foot tall.
Well, dude, I remember the video of him with Phil playing guitar and Phil's towering over him. I'm like, that man is tiny.
Yeah, he's small.
Yeah.
And so I walked into the bathroom and Killjoy walks in after me, and I'm at one urinal and I'm at the adult urinal, and he walks up to the kiddie urinal.
No problem.
And he's like, they don't make these for short people, do they? And I was just like, that's the kiddie urinal, dude.
You're in the exact one for short people.
And he's like, fuck my life. He's like struggling, so he's like on his tippy toes trying to piss.
Yeah, man. I watched both those and I laughed and cried a bunch. And then I watched them Between the Buried and Me. And then I was like, oh yeah, I remember the time I was on their shit. Picking my giant neck goiter. Like, hi guys, how are you? And that awful time we saw Children of Bodom and people were like fucking head walking, like drunk.
The fucking crowd walking bullshit.
I got knocked out of my shoes.
That's right, you did, but you were on Xanax, so I mean,
no, that's not why. Though.
Yeah, but
some dude got on all fours. The other guy jumped off of him, hit me.
Yeah, dude, there was a big pit, and they were like springboarding off each other and head walking. And like,
oh my god,
nobody wants to mosh when you see in Bodom. You want to watch keyboard and guitar solos. That's all you want to do when you watch Children of Bodom. And I'm like, yeah, you want to hear some ow ow. And they came all the way from Finland to ow ow in our face. And you're just like, I'm gonna ruin this for as many people as possible. I remember telling Randy like 6 times, like, we need to leave. This is stupid. Let's get a head start on the way home. This is dumb as fuck. But probably, dude, my favorite person I ever met was Chris Arp from Psyopus, dude. Like,
oh yeah, Chris.
Oh yeah, I love that fucking band,
dude. Chris. So Psyopus didn't make it to whatever the venue was in Dayton when I first started going to shows. That
I thought it was when we went to Cleveland,
right? But Jimmy helped run DDC. Right. So I first saw Hooker Spit Windex and Teeth Collection there. So and like one night Psyopus was supposed to play, and I was like, I'm gonna be there. Like, I have to be there. It's fucking Psyopus. Like, I want that shit like this far from my fucking face so I can maybe kind of understand what is happening. And at this point I had no idea how good their drummer was, who now just gives lessons. Like, Jason Bateman now just gives fucking lessons. He's like, yeah, dude, you pay me.
I watched that drummer like from like side stage.
Oh, dude,
just watching him.
And their bassist,
crazy.
Their bassist plays everything Chris plays, note for note. And the funny thing about Chris is he's obsessed with like Bernie Sanders, and he's a total leftist, and it's hilarious. It's like, dude, how do you have time to comprehend politics when you're doing that on your fucking guitar? But like, it was just so funny because Sean or like everybody else was away from me. Some deathcore band was playing. It might have been because Vader got snubbed. Some deathcore band like wrought out some fucking breakdown for like 15 extra minutes. So Vader only got to play like 15 minutes, which sucks because I wanted to see them because they shred and their faces look like sacks of potatoes because they're Polish. And so I was just like traveling around the venue, and I go to the backstage, and I just see like Chris setting up his amp, but he had, instead of his amp head just saying like, you know, Marshall or whatever head he had at the time, it said the Counting Crows. And I was like, what the fuck, dude? That's not even funny. Like, it was at the Foundry? No, the Foundry was a club in Dayton. What was that club in Cleveland?
Peabody's?
No.
Peabody's?
No, it had like three stages, an upstairs bar and a downstairs bar. Was it Peabody's?
Yeah, Peabody's had the Pirates Cove, and then the main room, and then I think there was.
I think that was the only time
one.
we were there. But
yeah, we went.
Oh, dude, it was the night we saw Atheist, which is still one of the top concerts of my life.
Yes.
I actually like hurt somebody while fucking seeing Atheist because these
Cryptopsy?
Dude, Cryptopsy with their fucking shitty singer, but it was still Cryptopsy, like Psychroptic.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But I saw Chris, and dude, I think he has Asperger's or like autism or something, because I was like, hey man, what's up? And then he was like, oh dude, how are you? And he was just like wearing the most peculiar shit, and I was like, dude, I'm so excited to see you play. I drove here from Dayton. Like, I was supposed to see you play last night at like a really small club, but you never showed up. And he was like, yeah, we drove like an hour and a half the wrong way, man. Thanks for coming. And I was like, you drove an hour and a half the wrong way to Dayton where you were supposed to be, but you went the wrong way. So you went west, south, or east. And then I drove 3.5 hours north to see you play a 15-minute set. And you're like, thanks for coming. But dude, he was the most awkward fucking dude ever. And then everybody left because they didn't get to play till after Atheist because they were so fucking late. And I remember that redhead kid that knew like every note of what they were playing. And then like, just like me, you, and Randy and that redhead kid. And then just like, it was so fucking nasty. Especially after Atheist made me fully deaf. I've never had a bass amp just fucking destroy my ears like that. They had the bassist from Pestilence, like the
nice.
fucking OG Mexican dude from Pestilence, man. And his bass was so fucking loud, it killed me. Atheist lead guitarist was so fucking hammered he could barely stand up and just nailed every fucking note. Like a solo would come up and he would just like and just go right through it and then just go back to like not being able to stand up. And then they had like Kelly Slater's kid doing rhythm. Kelly Slater was wasted as fuck. The only person not wasted was their super awesome drummer. I mean, Atheist is still one of my like top concerts ever, dude. I've never seen a band be so perfect.
Oh yeah, they're great.
Well, I'm going to share the torture scene.
Did you find like an acceptable portion?
No, I mean, I'm just like I said, I'm just going to have to splice it. We'll do some fast cuts.
Fox isn't going to come down on us. Who was it? Showtime? They didn't even air it. Come at us, Mick Garris. Put out another good movie, motherfucker.
Yeah, dude, that pissed me off about the From Beyond shit. Like, they literally, I waited hours for that video to upload, and then it got blocked immediately.
On the funniest scene, too. Just Ken Foree getting attacked by bees, and they were like, no, this is too much.
You know, the Masters of Horror, I still haven't watched Deer Woman, and still won't.
Good boy.
That's the one I haven't watched, and I won't.
Well, actually, I think we're gonna do Extro next as far as movies. Have you seen Extro, Sean?
I don't think.
Try to find that. If you want, I can give you like a website. I don't know what your TV setup is like. If you have like a Roku TV, but I use like an app.
Yeah, it's a crazy movie.
I use an app on my phone to cast websites to my TV. And then I have like a really good website that has a bunch of pirated shit. X-Row is about this kid's dad that disappears from aliens. Like he gets abducted. And then the dad like comes back and it's just like really fucked up what happens. I think you'll really super dig it.
I'll look it up.
It's a sci-fi horror movie, but it's way more horror than sci-fi. It's kind of like...
We also got to do...
Fire in the Sky fucked up.
Yeah. We also got to do the Grave Robbers episode with Jimmy.
You got to do Grave Robbers with Jimmy, which I need to see still. But Polly requested Offspring, which
I love that movie.
Was it really
loved
good?
It a lot. Oh, dude, it was really good.
So Polly requested Offspring, and Offspring was written by Jack Ketchum, who did Girl Next Door, which I'm sure you remember that, Sean, where they like had the babysitter that they torture forever. So I'm way about that. But it's like a trilogy. But she said Offspring was really good, and I think it's related to Masters of Horror in some way. Yes, The Woman was done by Lucky McKee, who did some of Masters of Horror.
Gotcha.
Oh yeah, look. But I got a request for you. Have you guys seen Gutter Balls?
I told Ben about Gutter Balls. that might happen.
That's one of those.
I mean, if you backed out of it, that's going to be tough.
I didn't back out of it, but
you said you thought about
one
it.
One of the worst rape scenes ever.
Dude, I've seen some bad ones.
Goes on way too long.
I mean, I genuinely love Irreversible. So a lot of people, that's another one I like breaking women in with, is like, you want to watch Irreversible?
Dude,
do you want to watch the hottest not even just the rape Italian
scene
woman
in that movie? Like the scene that got me in Irreversible was when he smashed that dude's face in with the fucking fire.
Kind of
thing.
like Let the Right One In. That's also prosthesis and computer generated. Like they did both forms of special effects in that scene, which is perfect because that's how the movie starts. And you're like, why would this guy do that? And then you rewind it and it plays in backwards order. And you're like, oh, first of all, he raped Monica Bellucci. Like, never mind how much Vincent Castle was in love with her, but like Monica Bellucci is like top tier woman on earth. And the worst part is it's 11 minutes of silence. And moaning, and you're just like, and screaming, and it's so fucking bad. Gaspar Noé's newest movie stars Dario Argento, which I really want to see. Yes, but before that, he put out Climax, so I don't know if I trust that motherfucker anymore.
Dude, that movie sucked.
Because the next time that I get tricked into seeing a movie of gay people dancing on acid, I'm fucking gonna go insane. I never in my life want to see a movie like that again.
It was bad. I
so fucking bad.
If I wanted to watch an MTV music video, I would have looked up like MTV Classic or some shit.
That. And then 20 minutes later, this acid's too much. I'm going to lock my child in a closet. And then every critic in America is going to be like, it was the scariest movie I've ever seen in my life.
Nice.
So it was funny because while that was playing, I was listening to The Feminist Critique.
Yeah.
And you know, the chick that bailed out was just like, I get it. It's a dead body that was pregnant. Why are you still showing it? Why are you still showing it? Well, they showed it for like maybe 5 seconds. I don't really know what you're crying about. And then secondly, you know, the main girl goes into, you know, there was effort put into this. This wasn't just like slapped together. There were sets built. There were intentions, blah, blah, blah. And then she's like, it wasn't like Dear Woman, where it was just kind of smacked together, which just fucking made me laugh. But yeah.
Yeah.
I don't.
Man, that scene is rough.
I don't know what else to say other than that. It just gets crazier.
It does.
It doesn't get crazier from a torture stance, but it gets crazier in every other way.
Every other aspect of the movie, yeah. I mean, with the abortions and the beating scenes, and
it's just kind of like a reward where it's just like, you know, if you can stomach that part, you'll get to the truth, or what we're led to believe is the truth.
Right. And yeah, that just makes more sense to the deformed woman character and how deceitful she is throughout the whole thing.
Right. I mean, and even the monk that she like mentors under.
Oh God.
Hell, pretty scary, huh?
Yeah. If you don't do what I say,
yeah,
you're going to go to hell. Let me molest her.
Yeah.
Do you want to show the sake scene?
I think we should just show like sake.
Sake it to
It
him.
was clean.
Just so we can like
Clean.
kind of end on a good note.
Yeah. There it is.
Get some more sake.
And I'm pretty fucking sure he's a famous actor too that's been in a lot of Takashi movies.
Probably. Yeah. No, but anyway, this is going to wrap up this episode for the Darkest Fears podcast. Thank you so much, Sean, for joining us today. It's really, really great to see you again, man. It's been so long. We got like we were mentioning before, we got some things that are coming up along the pipeline here.
Since Sean's our only fan.
Sean's our only one out of our 31 subscribers that actually talk to us. But yeah, we got the Redemption graphic novel coming up, and shout out to Carissa Grant for that. We'll be delving into that soon. We got Extro that'll be coming up soon too, and Grave Robbers
and Offspring.
And then Offspring. Yeah, those are on our agenda soon. If anybody has any movies that they want to mention for us to watch or review, put them down in the comment section and let us know. Make sure you like them, subscribe to the video, and also hit that bell for the notification so that way you don't miss any of our videos. And thank you again, guys. And thanks to you, Sean. And as always, Mike, we love you guys.
All right. Love you, homies. Have a good night. It's good seeing you, Sean.
All right.
Take it easy, guys.